Every Monday we get you motivated, pumped up and levitated. High of life elated. Top is where we located. Yeah, we here to grow, here to reach our goals on Felicia Inspires Radio Show. You are now listening to the Felicia Inspires Radio Show, airing every Monday at 9:30 a.m. Tune in and set the tone for your day.
Hello, everybody. We are back again with another episode on the Felicia Inspires Radio Show. Today we have an awesome panel, and I do not want to wait any longer. Our topic on today will be from burnout to breakthrough. We're going to be diving deep into how women can reignite their passion and purpose. First on our panel, we have Miss Pamela Rufus. Could you give us a brief good introduction of who you are?
Hi, I am Pamela Rufus. I am pastor and founder of Church of Believers in Florence, South Carolina. I am originally from the big town of Bishopville, South Carolina, as well as Lee County, if you will call it.
And now we are going to go ahead and introduce Miss Sherica Murphy. She is one of our main vocalist on our panel. She's going to be here quite often. You will hear more from her during the episode. Could you go ahead and give us a warm introduction of who you are?
Hello, world. I am Sherica Murphy. And good evening, ladies. And I'm with the Felicia Inspire Show, also a local entrepreneur and a production coordinator for the show.
And now we'll be hearing from Miss Krissy, and she is another one of our lovely staff here on the Felicia Inspires Radio Show. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone?
Well, hello. My name is Krissy Hamilton. I'm currently in a city and a part of South Carolina, originally from Texarkana. I did live in Dallas the last 16 years, but now I reside in South Carolina. I am one of the PR specialists here on the Felicia Inspire Show. I'm ready to dive deep into this subject and see what else we can talk about this afternoon with these lovely ladies.
Awesome. So we are going to go ahead and get started because I am so excited about what we are doing. So just to kind of open it up, for anyone who are struggling with their passion, trying to discover their purpose and learn what their purpose is in this life and on this earth, we're going to go ahead and encourage you and just kind of help you to understand and get that recognition that you need to get that passion started. So could you give us your perspective, Pam, on what's your definition of keeping that fire lit within you?
My definition of keeping the fire lit within me is literally keeping positive energy inside of me, keeping that energy to walk away, keeping that energy to not allow it to consume me, keeping that energy to know who I am, keeping that energy to know that whatever is trying to bring that energy down, to know that I have the power and I have the strength to overpower it for whatever it may be that comes my way.
Most definitely. And for me, I feel like when we are trying to stay passionate about what we do, we tend to go through a lot of self-doubt even in the process, because it's not easy to, when you're on a day-to-day basis, we all gonna go through different things in life and we lose motivation, and we reach that point of burnout when we do something a lot and we do it over and over and over. And when we're doing it by ourselves, we tend to fall a little, on the self-doubt side, because we feel like no one has our back whenever we're doing these things.
I understand that, because I've felt like I've done so much in life, and even though I have a great support team, I do feel the burnout a lot. I take upon so many responsibilities in my home life, in my work life, and so now I'm putting myself first now. So the burnout is gone for me. Like, I'm not burnt out on anything anymore. I'm making it a priority to make sure that I'm taken care of, that I'm fulfilling my dreams and my needs and wants and things like that. So take care of yourself, and then you'll be okay.
So at what moment do you feel that, did you have that breaking point of, I have lost sight, and what did you do to kind of help bring yourself back?
I think last year when I started having like health issues, um, that in that moment is when I felt like, okay, I've been making sure everybody else is okay. I got to make sure I'm okay. Now that I am okay, I took some time for myself. I got out of a city and state and area where I'm familiar with, where I was comfortable at, and I made a change. And I think change is good for all of us. So when I made that change, I put myself first, I believe, and I think it helped me to go further, to want more, to follow my dreams, and just take care of me. Just take care of me.
And many women, they push through exhaustion, they push through their push. And even for women who have kids, I think that some people put a barrier or some type of something there to say, I'm doing it for my kids, I'm doing it for my husband, I'm doing it for somebody. But I feel like I feel like when you're doing it for yourself, it's way harder to give yourself that self-motivation. So Pam, could you give a woman some advice when she's trying to push through and she's at that point of no return where she just don't know how to make her way back? What type of advice could you give her?
I would give her, I'm like Krissy, I love what she said, because when you are burnt out, when you've given you to everybody else, and it's actually is not becoming alone anymore. You just giving it away. You just giving you away now. And what
Right.
what I had to learn for me is that I've been just allowing me to go to other people, and then I get frustrated and I get tired, and it makes my body in the inside sick as well. My emotions change. My character seems like it starts changing because I've given me to everyone else and I forgot about me. So what I did was to help me. I had to go back and evaluate first of all me, because me was in so many other people and they were carrying me everywhere. They called. I was everybody's Pam. I was everybody's Pam. I was, Pam had to be here. Pam. And I burnt myself out so bad, so I was literally walking naturally crazy, naturally frustrated. And so what I had to learn how to do, I had to take a step back. And I had to did a vision board. I had to give a vision board to myself to say that when I wake up in the morning, it's God and then it's me. I got to take care of what's best for me. I was losing sight of everything. I was losing sight of myself, my clothing. Like, I was making sure everybody was good, and they were fine. And then I realized, wait a minute, I don't have any more strength.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any more nothing. And so I had to realize that I had to give myself a vitamin C. This vitamin C I'm talking about is vitamin C is caring for me.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
That vitamin C is caring for me, because Pam was gone, and everybody else, when I looked in the mirror, it wasn't even me anymore. So you got to give yourself that vitamin C.
Yes, you do. Like, you definitely have to do that. And I think, I'm going to speak for me. It's like, and like I said on the episode previously, we have these, I feel like all women have superpowers. That's just it. We got superpowers.
We do.
And it's like, you have to recognize when it's not time to be superwoman, right? Mm-hmm. So when you get to that point where you can identify when to do it and when not to do it, because there's a time and a place for everything, but you have to know when is it time to say no, when is it time to stop, when is it time to say, you know what, I'm putting a stop to it, I'm putting me first. And we spoke on this topic before. We have to put ourselves first in each and everything that we do, because people use you till they can't use you no more. They'll use you while you're allowing them to use you. So I think that we have to learn to put ourselves first.
Definitely, definitely. And I feel like once I start doing that myself, I feel good. I'm happy. I got my happy back, is what I say. I smile daily. I am the happy girl that people always know me to be. But at one point, I was drained. I had to learn to tell my kids no. I had to show them a couple different things in some actions that I had to do because of certain things that was running me down. And that was the hardest thing for me because my kids are my life. They're grown, but they're still my life. I have my grandbabies. I'm trying to just be a grandmother to them. And just, I want to be here for my parents as much as I can and other family and friends. But I think everybody knows now, Krissy is all about Krissy now. And whoever don't like it, I'm sorry. I love you, but this is my life. And I'm not going to say I'm burnt out anymore. I can't say. I can say I'm the happiest I've been in a long, long time.
And you don't have to fall victim to guilt. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people fall victim to feeling guilty because they say no, feeling guilty because somebody asked and you said no. You just cannot be everything to everybody. And that's just it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I felt guilty for a long time, but I don't feel guilty anymore.
It does not feel good. And I think a lot of that comes from we're scared to lose people. We're scared of judgment. We're scared that someone's going to say something or how they feel. But it's okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay to say no. And I'm still learning to say no to an extent, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. I feel in my burnt out moment, it was from it's a daily thing. From morning, everybody had my itinerary out. Everybody knew what they were going to come to Pam for. So the next day, from the children, from the church, from the job, I was becoming, and I'm gonna, because this is a real show. It seemed like I was becoming everybody God. I had to handle this and that, and I was burnt out so bad to the point to when I prayed, I just felt like I had no power. I had no power because I felt, now I know that maybe God felt like you was doing my job, and so I'm not giving you any strength because you putting yourself. Sometimes we put ourselves in harm's way because we don't want the kids to get upset. We don't want the husband to get upset. We don't want the our ace or whoever we call them to get upset. And so we try to be that gold medal. We try to be that gold medal because we want to look like we're the strongest one of the bunch. Mm-hmm. But it's okay not to be okay. And it is okay now that I know to say no. Because I realized that as long as we were saying yes, we had them on our team, we had them on our side. It was nothing. But as soon as we start saying no, then attitudes start coming in.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we gotta get burnout to get built up.
That's it right there. That's it. And that's what you have to do, because you can lose you within you, right? You can lose yourself and not even know it. Like people don't even recognize when they're to that point because they're like, I got to keep doing it because of this. I got to keep doing it because of that, and don't even realize that they're going backwards and not even moving forward. But again, you have to establish that limit and understand where you are in your life. Everybody has their own threshold of how much they can take, but do you know how much you can take?
Exactly. This is a very powerful segment because sometimes we don't realize that we're still walking in that, in our burnout stages. And I was just speaking on that today, that I had a situation myself that I'm burnt out on, not knowing how to say no, or not knowing how to recognize that enough is enough. And it could become crippling to you to where you're lacking in so many areas where you're not wanting to get up in the morning, or you're not wanting to face the day. And it affects everything and everybody around you because it starts to become negative in your household. Meaning, all that weight that you're carrying, now your husband got to deal with it. Now your kids got to deal with it. Your mom or your dad got to deal with it, you know. And it's like they don't know what you're reflecting on because they don't actually know the current situation, and they may not know that you're carrying all this baggage from 21 people when you're actually one person. So what I'm learning to do is reflection, daily reflection, and reflecting on the things that I know that I can be accountable for, and the things that I cannot be accountable for, because I do put too much on myself from time to time. And just hoping that when we do have those moments that we can just sit back, take time, and just take 5 and say, look, whew, maybe today was a little too much. Maybe that was a little too much. Because once we start taking 5 and reflecting, then we can see how to map it out for a better day or a better tomorrow, you know, if we wasn't able to correct it or pause it on today.
And you know, I think that we as women, we get vulnerable quicker than a man. A man can just go, you know, it just seems like nothing don't bother them. It's just like everything just rolls off their back, but we take in so much. And even with that being said, that burnout starts from within. Even though it's shown on the outside, it starts from within. You know, body knows what body can do. Body knows what body can take. So it's like it starts within, but we have to recognize when we get to that point. And when you're juggling so much, it weighs down. It weighs down. And I feel like, you know, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and have a self-talk and say, self, what do self want? We don't know what we want. A lot of people, they don't know what they want, but they want. Right. You have to literally sit down and talk to yourself and say, you know what do I want? What can I take away from this situation? And I always try to find a positive out of every situation, but you have to literally keep a positive mind and try to figure out what do self want. And again, that goes back to self-discovery, connecting with your higher self and understanding who you are as a person. So I feel like, you know, I have to redefine what I consider as success. I have to redefine my own definition of my superwoman. I have to redefine that because my superwoman may not be your superwoman. Your superwoman may not be the next woman's superwoman. But I have to look down deep within and say, you know what? This is what I define myself as a woman. So I just have to, you know, focus and I encourage anybody else to just focus on you, focus on what's going to benefit you at the end of the day, and stop making people problem your problem. And I live by that all the time, and not being selfish, but you have to stop making people problem your problem.
I feel as that we as women sometimes that we've experienced so many burnout, even in relationships. So we burn ourselves out. So we never have given ourselves time to heal. And so why? Because we'll get out of one relationship, burn out, go into another relationship, and we'll burn out. And we'll continue because it's a pattern. And then when it becomes a pattern until, you know, really sometimes we have the water to revive us. We have the right relationship to revive us. But because we're so burnt out, we can't identify. We can't identify it because everything looks like the last burnout. Everything looks like it. And so it's hard to recognize when something is genuine, when something is lovable, when he's the right person, or, you know, it's hard to identify that when you're burnt out. So that's why I think it's very beneficial that we take time to heal. We take time to heal from what we got burnt out from. Until instead of moving on so quickly, you know, we gotta heal. We gotta heal because sometimes it's that prize in front of us, but because we're burnt out, we don't see it. We don't see it because we've been so burnt out. We've been so, you know, trying to encourage ourselves. We've been so trying to make ourselves look so beautiful because nobody told us we were. We were so much trying to love in ourselves because they didn't really tell us they loved us and really meant it. So we burnt ourselves out trying to be someone to them that they didn't want to receive, and it burnt us out. I can go on, but let me stop.
So with that situation of burnout, that actual word is it's a lot behind it, and it also magnifies behavior issues, or whatever. So if we are nurturers and we want to help people, but we are in the stage of being burnt out, burnout, it shows and reflects a lot. It shows procrastination. It shows we have outbursts. We hinder ourselves from doing a lot of things. We start becoming lethargic. So it's a lot of things that we become and do that we don't realize. There was basically health issues and things like that are occurring in the burnout stage as far as isolation. So how can we help people? How can we help the next person if we're reflecting those things? Because if we're having bad behavioral signs or we're reflecting some type of health issue, then we're no good for the next person if we are nurturer or we're trying to help. So we have to identify those things in that burnout stage so that we can say, oh, well, this is why I'm doing this, because I'm burnt out. That's the number one sign of being burnt out. And if I'm doing this, then that's another sign that I'm burnt out, So you have to step back and say, hey, I'm recognizing these signs. So what can I do to fix these? What can I do to adjust these situations? And I feel like we should, as people and ladies, we should always take that time, like just that space for ourselves to just sit back again and reflect what we're doing in the past we are, going through, and the things that we are occurring, so that we can notice and recognize that burnout stage. That superwoman stage is a beautiful thing, but if we are not acting in our realm, then we can uphold those duties because of the burnout stage.
And I think, and I just have to be honest, and I'm going to speak for me. I can't speak for nobody else. To me, burnout, I don't see it in a negative way. The way I see burnout is I've done everything that I needed to do. That's my definition of burnout, because people tell me all the time, you're doing too much. You do so much. You wear all these hats. But to me, I don't see a burnout because I see the ultimate purpose. Right. So it's one of those things where it's like, what do you do in that case? Well, I keep pushing. Why? Because the motivation starts within. If I don't do it, who's going to do it? Time you can't get back. So to me, I always set that bar to the point where it's like giving up ain't an option. I'm too far in to give up now. So I just don't look at it as burnout. And yes, physically the body gets tired, but I feel as though the way we handle it, and I think that my purpose for doing the things that I do is because I like to be relentless, and at the end of the day, you don't want your time to pass you by. So I know that it seems like, we put a lot of things, we're rushing. But I feel like for me, I'm just trying to get it done. I'm trying to make sure I'm doing it correctly. So I'm trying to step correct, make sure that I'm doing this correct. Why? Because I know at the end of the day, I'm going to try to make sure that everything's done so I can rest later and do everything that I got done now. So I think that God gives us a lot to fill our plate to see, can we handle it? Right. So I feel like if I show God I can handle it, he's going to keep giving it to me. But if you can only get what you are worthy of. Right. And it's like, if you showing God, I'm giving up after the second try, why give you a third try if you couldn't even handle the second try? So I feel like, I have a lot on my plate, and people say all the time, he gives, he picks the right people to give it to, and that is true. It's very true, because everybody ain't cut out for the things that I do. I'm speaking for me. Everybody can't do what I do, and I understand that now, because if that was the case, everybody would be doing it. But everybody can't withstand pressure. Everybody cannot do it. But I feel like, it's all a test. I look at it as a test. Did I pass my test? And I know that the trials and the things that come through is all to test my faith. Can you handle it? Is this enough for you? Okay, well, I'm gonna see if you can handle this. I'm gonna give you more to see can you handle this. And at the end of the journey, I'm gonna give you your reward, but I'm gaining the rewards on my journey. So that's just how I see burnout in my book. I don't see it as a negative. It's one of those things where it's like, my work is done. I done it all. Now I can sit down.
I'm listening to you, and you're actually in the word, because you said that one thing you said about he gives you the job of a task, because he says he put no more on us than we can bear. And then he goes to say, too much is giving, much is required. So the more he gives us, the more he requires of us. And so that's why it makes it, as I stated earlier, it's positive for me. It's a positive thing for me, because it motivates me to know that I got to look at me more, because too much is given, much is required. So the more that the Lord opened doors, the more doors God opened for us, the more things he's requiring of us. He knows that he could entrust us with what he's given us. James talks about the trials and the tribulation of tests we go through. The thing is, it's not me going through the test, it's me passing the test. And because some tests come that we didn't study for. So that's why we can handle some stuff, because I wasn't prepared for that thing that came at me. I wasn't prepared for the little scandals, or they said I wasn't gonna be this or what. I wasn't prepared for that. So therefore I'm strong enough to overcome it, because I know that I ride on those things, because it's positive for me. Because actually it might have bent me, but it didn't broke me. The new term would say, didn't bent me, didn't break me. So it makes me motivated, because I know what I want. Small mindset get small things. Big mindset get big things. Okay.
And that's it. And that's just all to it. And that's just all to it. That's just it. Recognizing.
That was a word, Pam.
Within
that was
itself.
a word.
I'm trying to keep the preacher out of this now. Come on.
We want it.
Yeah, it's definitely needed, because somebody needs to hear that, because everybody don't have that in mind. Everybody's mentality is just not there. And what you say can be someone's freedom. What you say can be someone's way out.
Right.
It just opens so many doors, and there's somebody who's going to hear this and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to push. I'm going to be able to overcome what I'm going through, because everybody go through stuff, but there's nothing new under the sun. Like I said before, we just go through it on a different level. So it's like, being that encourager, we don't know what our purpose is for even being on this call. We don't know who's going to hear or take from what we say on this call, but having a purpose and everything that I do, I want to have an intention. Have an intention, because that intention is definitely going to show. And somebody not even knowing you can recognize that. When your intentions are good, people going to see it. People are going to see it.
They gravitate to you because they can tell. They're just like, oh, they're really genuine people. So.
No, it's like a magnetic force. That energy is definitely gravitating, as Krissy said. So you always want to, have that magnet to attract those in need, of encouragement or empowerment.
Right. And I think that from my standpoint, I want to, encourage somebody, recognize it. You know, you have to acknowledge burnout. If you don't address it, how can you correct it?
Correct it. Exactly.
You can't correct anything if you don't say, you know, you got to, you know, acknowledge that this is what it is. And that's the first step in getting over it and getting through it. You got to recognize it. And, you know, at what point, Pam, are you, or do you feel like it comes to a point where you says, I'm running on empty?
Oh man, thank you for asking that. When I get to that place when I'm running on empty, I'm like Sherica said not long ago, you know, I'm at that point of being drained, of being frustrated, of being tired. My body start going through changes, you know, and then Felicia, the mind is like it's on empty, like you can't think like you should, you know, like you had this adrenaline in you, and you was like, yeah, I'm going forward, I'm going to do this, you know,
Pam, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a better wife, I'm gonna be a better mother, I'm gonna be a better girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, you know, husband, you know, because men may be listening to this show as well. And then you got that adrenaline up, and then all of a sudden, you know, it may be a week, it may be a month, maybe 3 days, and you feel like you don't feel that adrenaline anymore. You know, you feel like it's just going down, and you feel like you're going down and down and down. So my thing is that don't let yourself ride too much on empty. Why? Because if a car is riding on empty all the time, sooner or later it's going to get trashed in the gas line.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what happened when we start getting low on fuel, on our adrenaline. You know, we start getting trash, and when trash start going in, we don't look towards the hills that come forth our help anymore. We don't look like we're being successful anymore because we got trash in there that's kind of clogging us up, clogging our mindset up. Where was that energy when you would say, oh, I feel it coming to pass, you know, I feel this house is getting ready to come, this car, you know, my wedding or whatever. You felt that at one time, success. You felt success one time, and then all of a sudden you feel failure. You feel failure because trash has got into the line. So we have to be able to keep trash out of our view. You know, and we got to keep looking like I'm gonna do this, and you know, I feel a little bad about it right now. Things ain't working out right now, but I'm gonna keep moving. You can't go backwards. You got to keep going forward. Dropping your adrenaline down, dropping that gas down, you know, going to negativity instead of positivity. It will cause a disaster. So you got to keep that mind focused. You got to know, I don't care what nobody say. And like Felicia said, you know, people say, you know, you're doing too much. They can say that, but that's not their vision.
No,
it's not their vision. It's her vision. Even though they look into them like she's tired, but literally she's rested because she's getting to the place, that purpose that God has for her life. And there's somebody that may be listening to us right now saying, you know what, my adrenaline is down.
Yes.
I you know, I was up there. I had positive thoughts. I had positive reaction to stuff. But now something's happened. And I tell you, get up. Get up and move. Get back up and move, and get back to that mindset. Get back to that growth. Get back to that growth that God has for you.
And that's what you have to do. And I think when you are at a level of minority, high, we set standards, we set limits. But I think a lot of people bite off more than they can chew, right? So it's like you have to set a standard that ain't too far out of reach.
Exactly.
If you know that you know how much you can take, and it's one of those things where a lot of people want to crawl before they walk. But if you don't go through those steps that's in between, you're going to wind up falling. So I think that we have to set goals for ourselves, set standards for ourselves that we can reach. You know, it's levels to this thing. You just have to take it day by day, month by month. You know, you have to create the habit, get yourself in the habit of knowing, okay, how much can I take? How can I reach my goal? How can I get there? But you have to understand that it's levels. You can't bite off more than you can chew. You can't go from elementary to college overnight. Right. You have to take those steps and understand that it's okay to not be where TD Jakes is. It's okay to not be where all these stars are, but they all had to start somewhere.
Exactly.
And I say all the time, I don't want nobody else's problems. I want what for Felicia. I see people all the time, they have all these things. And yeah, I do look up to people, and we have our, people that we look up to, but it's like, I do not want nobody else's success. I just want what's only for me, because I know what Felicia can handle. I know what Felicia went through to get where she is. We don't know what nobody else went through to get where they at. So I think that, we need to have a self-evaluation and say, you know what, where can I start? Where can Felicia start that Felicia can reach her next goal? Even though I have a vision for the end goal, I see the bigger picture, but where can I start to get there?
Exactly.
And that's what you have to ask yourself. What is your limit? Yeah. What steps what shoe can you put on to fit your feet? And that's just how I feel.
And Ms. Pam, I'm reflecting back to what you were saying as well. It's funny how life is comparison like an automobile, but even that so going on empty and getting that trash in your fuel filter, they also have what do they call that? Where you pour it in fuel injection.
The cleaner.
Fuel injection cleaner.
Yeah.
And then we got where when that car get low, we might need a little maintenance to it, maybe a little oil change or something like that, some fluids or something like that, and then it's turned like brand new, right?
Yeah, top off, yeah.
So it's all the same thing with life. Sometimes we just need a little tone up here and there, to get it in or whatever. It's so many things. And also, like Felicia was saying, it's like, from here to college, you got pre-K, you got kindergarten, and then you got 1 through 5, and therefore. So it's all about taking the process of elimination in life to get where you want to be, and taking it one day at a time. Because, like she said, we're not all gonna go to the same place at the same time, and we're not all destined to be at the same place at the same time. But we can all build a goal and a dream to make it more feasible for us, ever, because everybody has a purpose. Every single soul has a purpose.
Yes, and that's true. And you have to prioritize. You have to say, even if you have to start and say, you know what, this week I'm going to say no to this, and then work your way up. But you have to prioritize what is draining you the most, and that's where you start. What is draining me the most? Even if you have to sit down and write it down. Okay, I need to sit down and see, because people sometimes when you write things down, you understand it better. And even if you have to just say, you know what, this is the first thing that's hindering my progress, and just start there, and then just work your way up. And like I said, you have to learn to not set goals higher, set goals that's going to be out of reach, but start small, and they're going to, add up to the bigger picture.
The goal is too big or too small, because everybody got, somewhere they can fit in. So no goal or no dream is too small or too big.
Even in the physical, our bodies have their own way of, they'll say, oh, your body gonna shut down. Yeah. And rest is not a reward. It's a necessity. And rest is good, you know what I'm saying? But it's all in your perspective and how you see it.
Yes, I think that was real good, Sherica. I really feel as for me, I can only speak for me. Ever since I was a little girl, coming up hard, coming up working in the tobacco fields, and I always said that there is more. And the crawling, walking thing, I always was one that was submissive. I always was one that said, Lord, I know there's better, but let me be a better me to get to that better it. And I grew up, and I kept growing up and everything. And I saw so many people achieve so much around me. Even now, they achieve so much around me, and I celebrate them. I celebrate them because I don't know what they had to go through to get where they are. I don't know the nights they had to cry. I don't know, some of the women may have went through physical abuse, domestic violence or whatever. We don't know their story, but God knows their ending. So we look at people and we see where they are, but we don't know where they had to come from. So with me, I always celebrate success because I know that the success that God has for me, that is called patience. It's called patience to get to where we got to go at, and knowing that we got to keep that positivity within ourselves. The Bible said, David said, that I come to encourage your own self. Sometimes you just got to encourage you. Sometimes you got to pat you on the back because you were looking at it coming from someone else and you didn't get it. And so sometimes because we didn't get it from the people that we thought we should have gotten it for, sometimes it takes us back, So sometimes I have to ask God to strengthen me in this area, because the people that I'm looking for to say, you know what, you did a good job. You know what, you look beautiful today. You know what, oh man, you did great on that sermon or whatever. So those things sometimes we don't get, and sometimes we get into a breakdown, until it becomes a breakup. So I thank God that He's humbling me to the place to know that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard what He's about to do in our life. So I say that we just got to hold on, and we got to stay strong, and then we got to just okay, I'm going to take this ride, even though it's rough, but I'm going to take this ride, because at the ending of the story, I can look back and say, I don't look like what I've been through.
Exactly.
And sometimes, we go through things, and God put us in a burnout to teach us a lesson, right? Sometimes you got to get burned out to rise from the ashes, because it took you to go through this to get here. It took your friends to backslide on you to get where you at. It took that man to leave you in order to see it. So sometimes it's beyond our control for the burnout, because you need that burnout to teach you the lesson. So I feel like, we all go through things to go through things, to teach us things, to see what we couldn't see, because sometimes, we all have worn rose-colored glasses. We all been there, done that, but it's what do you take from it when you go through the burnout? What did you learn by going through that? So what you get when you come from the ashes is what you have to take to rebuild you.
And everybody, like you said, we go through that point and we have a burnout, but it's what we do with it. And with all moving forward and just having a past, and our past takes us to our present, and that's the best thing. Looking back then and seeing where you're at today is a beautiful thing.
When you look at a burnout, like in the natural, like a fire come and you have a burnout. Watch this. This is good. Notice that when you have a burnout, some things you cannot save. Some things you cannot save, and
that's it.
Some things that really have been expired, and we try to hold on to it, and it's just like milk. Milk in the refrigerator, and the expiration date on it, but because you popped it and you smelled it, and it's like, oh, I can stick and drink, but it's expired. So some things, when it's burnt out, then that means that you get to get some new stuff. something new is getting ready to
Something
happen.
new is on the
Because,
other side.
Yeah.
because I'm burnt out. So something greater is getting ready to happen. Something newer is getting ready to happen. So sometimes we ought to thank God for the burnout. And as Felicia said, sometimes God allow some things to get burnt out, allow us to get burnt out. And so because we're not in the place to receive the next move, the next level. So sometimes I got to make you uncomfortable, to get comfortable, because if I'm not, you're gonna miss what I'm about to do, because you're so focused on what burnt you out and not focus on what I'm getting ready to give you now, something new. That gone now, you can't get that back. Some things we shouldn't even want back, but we just thank God for the lesson learned.
Yeah,
We
And when
thank
he
God for the lesson learned.
and when he say go, you have to go. Like go, run as fast as you can. And don't look back.
Be obedient. Yeah.
Yeah. Some things are seasonal things. I've learned that in my past on some things. So yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
And
this person was in your life for that season, but this season,
Yeah.
they can't go with you. You love them from a distance, and you keep it moving.
Mm-hmm.
that's
Because this
that's
is
what
your
you gotta
now.
do.
This is your
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
As women, we hoarders, so we like to hold on a little.
A little longer than we should.
Yeah.
Most definitely. We're all guilty of
Right.
that, right?
Yeah, and I think that even to encourage somebody else, don't get lost in it. Don't stay there, because being burnt out gonna dim the fire, but it don't extinguish it. So you have to look within and say, you know what? Even though I went through this, I still got the power to rise again. So don't stay stuck in it, because it's always a way out. But you have to find your way out. You have to look inside yourself and say, you know what? This is what's going to drive me to do better. But I'm going to recognize and acknowledge the purpose of the burnout. And still staying. But just don't, I just, I think we all fall victim of depression. And it's more like, now I hear so much more people now going through depression. It's just like one of those things that it's becoming big now. It's like everybody, and I think I love the fact that people are acknowledging that, hey, I'm depressed, I'm going through depression, but they're not afraid to say, I need help. I need somebody to help me. And if you don't acknowledge it, you can never heal it. So again, I just want to, just tell somebody, hug yourself, encourage yourself, and just know that your fire is not extinguished.
Your fire is not what?
Extinguished.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I see you ladies, I'm gonna say that to you each and every time.
That's right.
And I'm gonna bear witness to you. I'm gonna touch and agree.
Touch and agree.
Yeah. I'm gonna say this. I was one, because Pastor Pam, and all that. People look at me as being strong all the time. And I can say that at one point in my life, it became mental, because they were looking at me as not making a mistake, always saying what is right, always doing what is right, and it became mental. And when I got into that mental state, I had to, and this happened to somebody, I had to preach with it, I had to work with it, I had to be a wife with it, had to be a mother with it, and I was in a mental state. And I had to let the pride go and say, you know what? I had to identify that this thing got me so, where I can say burnout, that it's become mental. And I had to go back, and I had to revive me and say, you know what? You're not always right. Because that's what the people would look at. You are human. You are human. You're able to make a mistake every now and then. I was put on this pedestal that I was scared to even move. But then I had to realize that again, I had to take Pam back from everybody, and I had to regain me. And so now I'm back and I'm better. I used to BBB. I'm back and I'm better and I'm beautiful.
That's
You
it.
know,
I
Okay.
love it. I
I just
love
had to throw that in. You know.
I like that. It's a true
Yes.
statement, though.
And yes, and you know, our greatest breakthroughs come after the burnout. You know, we got to give ourselves permission to slow down, not stop, slow down. Because when you slow down, you see things clearly. When you stop, you don't make no progress. So we have to give ourselves permission, and even giving yourself permission, you're acknowledging. You're acknowledging that, you know what, I need to slow down. You start to see where the problem started. You start to see the solution to the problem. You start to see these things, but you can't stop. You have to keep going and not stay in it. And when you're ready, your passion will find you, but in a new way, right? Only when you're ready. It's not, oh, I'm ready now. I'm ready. No, it don't go like that. You have to show yourself ready to move forward. You have to show yourself that, you know what, I'm ready for the next stage. I don't want it the same way I had it, but send it in a new way. But I'm ready.
Be
You better
burnt
say
out, but
that.
not burnt up. You know.
Most definitely. And, you know, I think that, you know, we all, you know, have things that we need to work on because none of us are perfect, you know. But I feel like to a certain extent, you know, everybody can learn something from somebody, no matter the age, the race. Somebody can learn something from somebody that you didn't already know about yourself.
Yes.
We all see something, and even just being on this call, you know, I see things that I can work on myself. And I don't know it all, but I know enough.
Yeah.
I know enough to recognize that there's always more to learn.
And I felt that way on our last episode. I had to sit back and do some mental recoupment for myself because I figured some things out that I hadn't processed as well, you know. So being emotionally challenged, you know, and going back and forth, I said, you know, okay, there's something else I can work on because we have room for improvement every day. We never can know too much. We never can have done enough, you know, and we're never what you call perfect. So it's always something we can fix. It's always something that we can tighten up a little bit, you know, tweak a little bit. And it's okay, you know. I don't mind tweaking. I don't mind some fine tuning. And I definitely don't mind some positive constructive criticism, you know.
And as we, you know, kind of conclude on our episode today, Pam, could you give us some closing reflections and then we'll move forward with each and every one on the panel?
Yeah, I think that this has been a great topic. I think that through the midst of that, we talked about even the mental challenges on life. We talked, you know, I think that we focus on, you know, that positivity of the burnout. You know, knowing that there is a positive in it. You know, more positive than negative. I feel as that in the midst of the burnout, that God is doing something greater, and knowing that we all want to arrive at the same time, but we arrive on time. You know, we arrive on the timing of God, and that if we stand strong, if we stay in place and not give up, you know, don't faint, you know, that we can achieve some things in life, you know, as women and as men. And I just feel as that these topics that are going on now, that we as women, we need it. You know, we need that feeding on the inside. We've been pulled a lot, but we wasn't fed a lot. So I think we need this feeding now more and more every day to continue to keep us strong, to keep our heads straight, you know, to keep our focus and our vision of what God has for us. And I believe that when we do that and we say, you know, I'm not going to quit, I'm not going to give up, you know, this is only a test. And you know, that the gift that we have in us, it's going to require more of us. And I believe that we can do that. I think we can do that now.
I saw something the other day and it said, life is about learning and growing. When you're on the right path, you're constantly discovering new things about yourself, others, and the world around you. And I definitely find that to be true, because when you're around people, you learn different things. Like, I know I've learned so much about myself in these past few months anyway. Being around you ladies, I learned a lot of things about myself that I didn't know. I see so much in each and every one of y'all, and I'm like, I always tell y'all, wow, wow, like Felicia, wow, Miss Pam, oh my goodness, we message Sherica, my little boo, we just, we all connect. Oh, my little boo, but it's just, I don't know, I'm just at a place in life, like, I want to be around people that are like-minded like me. They have a spirit like mine. They have a heart like mine. So I'm kind of being a little selfish with myself. If I feel anything negative, because I don't have anything negative going on in my life, I can't be around it. So you got to make sure your mental is good. Protect your peace. Protect your peace. I live by that. I will not go back and forth with people. Don't do that. And quit making, like Felicia said, letting other people's problem quit making their problem your problem.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that the hard way, because I am the one that wants to I think I can change the world, so like, I want everybody that's in my space to be okay. I want that. But in a perfect world, I want that, but it's not going to happen. I can't make everybody's problem my problem. So now that self-love, that self-care, I'm making sure I do that, and I protect my peace by any means necessary. Everybody should.
I never gave up. I never gave up when I was lost and I was scared. I never gave up when in the abuse. I never gave up in the confusion. I never gave up in the mental health imbalances. I never gave up during the incarceration. I never gave up. I kept going because I felt like there was a light at the end of my tunnel. And as long as I stood and I kept looking forward, that I would eventually get to my light. I'm not to my light. My light is getting brighter. So I know eventually when I get there, that light is going to be bright and it's going to shine to where I can see what my ultimate purpose here on earth is, because that's when I think I'm going to be on the other side and God is going to give me that. Well, job done. Well done,
Most definitely, Sherica, and I commend you, even on your journey and everything that you've been through, and even in your incarceration, you locked up, but you wasn't locked down.
No, ma'am.
And I love and admire the fact that you kept pushing. I love and admire the fact that you didn't let that stop you from being where you are today. And one thing I do admire is, and I never even said it, but the way you communicate with people, the way you greet people, the way it's so welcoming. And if no one knew your backstory, you'd have thought you lived in a perfect world. And I think that we as people, we don't know what another person is going through, and we kind of look at the outside to kind of, show that, we're this, we're that, but we all have a persona to hide something, and being emotionally naked with the world and letting everybody know that in this day and time, we're not concealing, we're healing here. So I think that, we have to stay self-motivated. You got to start somewhere. You have to start now. Tomorrow is not promised to anybody, but you just have to start now. Stay self-motivated. And at the end of the day, you hold the power. You hold that lighter. Only you can ignite that flame you got. Only you can do that. And with that being said, just stay encouraged. We're here for anybody that's listening on the call. Call in, email us. Go to the website. We're always going to be here in some shape or form. We're never going to try to, we're going to always try to encourage somebody. And this is the purpose of the Felicia Inspire Show. We are inspiring people. We're connecting. We're healing. We're providing that gateway for someone's healing out here. So I just, I just enjoyed this show today because I knew even before I got on the call that it was going to be powerful, and I was definitely looking forward to it. And I appreciate each and every one of y'all, Sherica, Krissy, Pam. I respect all of you guys, and even though I'm the youngest of the bunch, I accept all of the wisdom that you guys are instilling. I look up to you guys so much, and y'all know I hold y'all dearest to me. And I appreciate y'all. So everyone on the call, tell a friend to tell a friend that we here on the Felicia Inspire Show are changing lives one makeover at a time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you.